Good evening. I'm called to order the Standing Committee meeting of the Durham District School Board, Monday, January 5th, 2026. Happy New Year to everyone. The Durham District School Board acknowledges that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships, both historic and modern, with the territories upon which our school board and schools are located. Today, this area is home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. We acknowledge that the Durham region forms part of the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, the Mississauga peoples, and the treaty territory of the Chippewa of Georgina Island First Nation. It is on these ancestral and treaty lands that we teach, learn, and live. Are there any declarations of interest? Seeing no declarations of interest at this time, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the approval of the agenda? Trustee Morton, Trustee Jacula, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Next on the agenda, we have staff presentation on the multi-year strategic plan, Windows into Practice. And I will turn it over to Superintendents Aaron Elmhurst and Candace Thompson.
Thank you, and I'll just invite the team to step up to the podium. They didn't bring the whole staff, but close. I know. Good evening, and through you, Chair. The report accompanying tonight's presentation can be found on pages 1 through 8 of your booklet tonight. Tonight's presentation will provide a window into the early implementation of the Empowering Excellence strategy, aligned with the multi-year strategic plan Meaningful Learning Goal Number 1, Action 1.2, which is to implement components of the Empowering Excellence strategy. Empowering Excellence is a differentiated, strength-based approach that supports learning, well-being, and belonging in school communities most impacted by poverty and classism. While these systemic barriers influence students' daily realities, they do not determine who students are or what they can achieve. Grounded in the brilliance, identities, and lived experiences of students and families, the strategy focuses on strengthening the everyday conditions for learning that ensure every student experiences academic success, dignity, connection, and high expectations. Early implementation is showing promising shifts. Educators are noticing students arriving more settled and ready to learn, stronger engagement in instruction, increased confidence, and deeper connection to the caring adults in buildings. Schools are also seeing growth in staff efficacy and student leadership. Tonight's presentation highlights how the layers of supports within Empowering Excellence schools are working together in practice and includes a brief window into practice from Village Union Public School, bringing the strategy to life through the experiences of students and educators. This evening, I'm pleased to introduce Amy McGee, who is the principal of Village Union Public School, who will introduce her team and share their experience with the Empower Excellence strategy.
Good evening, and thank you so much, Superintendent Elmhurst. I'm very pleased to be here this evening and to introduce this amazing team of educators and some students and families from Village Union. Their commitment, their care, and collaboration are at the heart of the work that we do. I'd like to introduce the team members that I brought with me tonight, and I could tell you that I could have brought my whole school because they're all empowering, excellent educators. So I have from grade 1, part of our leadership team, Nora Rutherford-Rolfe. I have Violet Morton from grade 8. I have Caitlin Clark, who's a kindergarten teacher. Laura Hickling, who is our CERT and Apple School teacher. I have Jessica Lowe's, who is a primary resource teacher and a student success teacher. I have Amanda Hughes, who is an excellent grade 8 teacher. I have Haley Garcia, amazing grade 5 teacher. Abby Young, phenomenal grade 6 teacher. And I also brought with me my vice principal, who started at a new school today, but she wanted to come with us, and we're so glad she came back with us, Martina Walton. excuse me for reading some notes, but it's the first day back to school today, and we wanted to make sure that I didn't forget anything that I wanted to share with you tonight. So the highlight of the impact, to highlight the impact of the Empowering Excellence strategy, we'd like to just share a short video that reflects what the work looks like in the school, what it feels like in our school community. You'll get to hear directly from some of our students and our staff whose voices and experiences continue to guide the learning and shape the approach that we take each day. So if we could ask to play the video, please.
Welcome to our school, Village Union Public School. We are so happy that you are here. We are so excited to show you around our school and highlight many of the activities that support and help to make our school an empowering, excellent school.
Having breakfast at school helps me get through the day because when I'm not full and when I eat, it helps me get energized and full, which helps me get through the day.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. And I'm Karen. And we're an ECE teacher team from Village Union Public School, one of the Empower Excellence schools in the DDSB.
We've been partnering with the ECE coaches, and it's been a meaningful opportunity for us. It helps us document learning in real, authentic ways, capturing not only what students are doing, what they are thinking, growing, and engaging with each day. And just as importantly, it helps us connect. It strengthens the relationships between the students, the educators, and most importantly, the families as well, by making learning visible and shared.
In my role as the primary resource teacher, I provide small group and one-on-one support that builds SEL skills, emotional regulation, and early learning success.
Learning with Miss Doe when we learn letters.
You learn the letters?
Yeah, the alphabet because I keep learning.
I like talking to Miss Lowe's because it helps me express my feelings and it makes me feel better.
I like working with you or Miss Doe because it makes me happy and I like the materials you do.
I collaborate with teachers while also developing tools and resources that strengthen classroom practice.
As a primary teacher, the PRT has been fantastic in helping my students manage their emotions and get through challenging situations. We've also been really working on using our WITs, which is implemented in the school, and they've been amazing to work with.
In my role as the grades 7 and 8 student success teacher, I use data to identify learning gaps, monitor progress, and guide instruction.
I like working with Miss Lowe's because my reading has improved and I feel more confident when I'm writing and reading.
I like going to small group because it helps my reading and build up my confidence.
I like working with Miss Lowe's because my reading and writing has improved more than last year.
I like to work with Miss Lowe because she's making me ready to high school.
In my position as school health facilitator, I have had the privilege of working with our staff, students, and families in learning about and running initiatives related to healthy eating, physical activity, and mental health and well-being. Funded by Apple Schools and as a part of our Empowering Excellence strategy, this position has gifted me the time and resources to plan, organize, fundraise, and execute initiatives that are responsive to the needs of the stakeholders in our community. From running food drives alongside the SEC, to organizing opportunities for students to experience activities like sewing, curling, and cooking clubs, to providing students with hands-on learning about growing and harvesting vegetables and herbs, this position has allowed students, staff, and families to learn, connect, and grow together as a community with health and well-being at the center.
And thanks for coming along this journey with us. We hope that you were able to see some ways of the support from the Empowering Excellence strategy that help to make VU an amazing place for everyone.
Hi, thanks for watching!
Thank you for your attention to the video, and thank you to our staff. Our staff that are with us tonight are the group that put that video together. And I do have to mention Abby Young, who is our technical wizard. She did a great job. We're grateful tonight to get to bring 2 students along with us. It's almost Nora's bedtime, but she agreed to stay up a little bit late this evening because she's part of the leadership team and she takes that very seriously. The 2 students with us are going to share some experiences in their own words, and their perspectives do remind us why strengthening relationships, belonging, and daily conditions for learning really matter so deeply in the work that we do. Nora, I'm going to have you come stand out here so the people over here can see you. And Nora's going to just share a little bit with us. She wants to hold the mic by herself, Miss Hicklin.
All right, okay, come on up here.
At school, I feel comfortable, confident, and safe because of the supports of the Empowering Excellence strategy, and Apple Schools students at our school are able to engage the meaningful learning, focus on well-being, and grow connections with the community members in our school. Village Union Public School is a great place to learn and grow.
Being at an powerful, excellent school makes me feel like I'm truly part of something. If I'm having problems with my friends, there's always someone who's listening and helping me figure things out. And it shows that the teachers really care about us. In class, the learning feels meaningful because teachers understand how I learn and take the time to work with us in small groups and give us the one-on-one attention we need. Our school community is special. There are so many chances to get involved and try new things like sports and clubs. There is some things for everyone because of all this I feel heard, support, and like I truly belong here.
Thank you, Nora and Violet. I was new to Village Union this year in September, and as the incoming principal, what really stood out to me is the strong foundations that were already in place. The trust, the relationships, and the shared commitment to students. It really, really stood out to me that the group of educators that I was working with really wanted to be in that building. Empowering excellence has helped bring greater coherence and focus to this work, strengthening the daily routines, the instructional practices, and the connections that we have with families. It has supported our staff in working collectively with clarity, purpose, to ensure that our students feel seen, heard, supported, and also challenged. I also see the work through the eyes of an administrator who worked in a similar school about 10 years ago. I'm dating myself. Coincidentally, that school is now an empowering excellence school. At that time when I worked there, those resources that we have supporting us now were not in place. So I'm able to compare a school without the support of the strategy to a school who has all these wonderful supports in the building. And it genuinely makes a difference in the well-being of both students and staff. And we all know how that impacts our ability to learn and to achieve and have success. The strategy has not changed who we are as a school, but it has strengthened how we work together to meet the needs of our students and our amazing community. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us this evening. If you wanted to ask any questions of our two students or any of our staff, we'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from trustees? Trustee Morton?
Thank you, and through you, I don't have questions, but I do have many comments. I love your presentation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. So the comments that jumped out to me, you truly belong there. One-on-one opportunities, something for everyone. And then we talk about the level of trust and the relationships. I'm really pleased that our 11 elementary schools were chosen, but those are the kinds of things that I want to see in all of our schools, elementary and secondary, all 130 plus schools. And we need to empower excellence in all of our schools. So I thank you, wonderful presentation. And one other thing, you mentioned that Martina Walton will be leaving you. I think I'm going to be getting to know her a little bit better because she's coming to the north. Thank you.
You are correct. She had her first day in Sunderland today.
Perfect. Thank you.
Trustee Edwards?
Thank you. And I do understand, you know, the supports that basically improve basically communications and improve academic achievement, the connectiveness together. And I really do appreciate you mentioning all those things, especially comments from our students is really, really important. It shows that we support this and it is doing what it's supposed to be doing. I do have a question, though, for staff in that help me understand a little bit around how schools are identified. I know there's some that is mentioned there, but when I look at the Early Development Index for Durham, and then also some of the Ontario Marginalization Index, there are some areas that are in Ajax that have similar data, and I just want to understand. I know when we put supports in some of these previous schools that we identified that it has helped, but just sort of help me understand a better understand on how the data is used to identify those schools.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question, and through you, Chair. The schools that were selected this year, we started with, we wanted to start with 10 as a smaller number. We did move to 11. However, the way they were identified is a 3-year rolling average of the on-marge index. So Chris Conley was help us to pull that data in terms of who are the schools in the greatest area of socioeconomic need within the Ontario Marginalizational Index. And then we cross-referenced that with achievement data. When we put the achievement data beside the on-marge data, those 11 schools appeared as the top 11 schools with the greatest need. The other thing to consider with that is it will change over time. And so while we are starting with 10, could we have gone to 15? Could we have gone to 20? Yes. However, we want to make sure that the supports are really focused and supported in a way that we can hopefully sustain. So starting with a small number helps us to do that. But we also know this is a 3-year rolling index, so we will be monitoring every 3 years, and those schools may change.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Trustee Miller?
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I just wanted to say thank you to the staff and team that's involved in this wonderful work. I think it's awesome, and obviously the students are engaged and they feel part of their school, and I think that's really a key to their success, is feeling included and feeling a part of it. So I just wanted to say thank you and continue the great work.
Thank you very much. And a particular thank you to Nora and Violet. It is no small job to come into this room and speak into a microphone and make a presentation to this board. Most adults come in here and are nervous, and you did a fantastic job, so thank you. Moving on to recommended actions, I'm looking for a mover for the approval of the Standing Committee meeting minutes of November 3rd, 2025. Trustee Brown, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Next is information items, and we have student trustee report. And I will turn it over to student trustee Shetty.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. On November 6th and December 4th, we held our monthly Student Senate meetings. Senators had time to work within their working groups and regional groups, which kept the focus on steady progress. Superintendent Elmhurst and Mr. Karhan, Innovation Facilitator, provided a meaningful forum for students to build their ideal classroom to support the development of the new teaching and learning policy. Senators also had ample time to raise regional concerns, compare experiences, and continue drafting proposals for student-facing initiatives so they remain clear, feasible, and easy to communicate. From November 13th to the 16th, we attended AECO's Fall General Meeting, where we connected with student trustees from across the province and focused on practical ways to strengthen student voice, well-being, and learning support. We heard from ASTA alumni such as Quinn Scarlett and former DDSB student trustee Demario Knowles, which highlighted the impact and responsibility of our roles. In a session with OPSPA's Executive Director Stephanie Donaldson and President Kathleen Woodcock, we learned more about their advocacy and how we, as student trustees, can support their efforts. Throughout the conference, our working group sessions focused on day-to-day issues students face, brainstorming solutions, and sharing strategies for truly activating student input. Overall, it was an incredible opportunity to build relationships with other trustees that we can rely on for advice, ideas, and feedback for the rest of the term.
This week, we are hosting a virtual student trustee information sessions for all of the candidates moving to round 2 of the election process. This session will outline the responsibilities of the position, what a typical day looks like, and the importance of student engagement through initiatives and elections so that students understand the scope of the role before elections and are set up for success. The Student Senate has been actively supporting the implementation and selection of the new Student Senate Leadership Award. In November, a subcommittee of members reviewed sample applications to practice scoring with a rubric containing the success criteria for the award. Members then scored the 48 submitted applications independently. During our December Student Senate meeting, the subcommittee went through a final selection process to select the 2025 to 2026 inaugural year winning elementary and secondary project applications. The recipient of this award were notified in December with appreciation shared from all applicants. Congratulations to the 2 selected schools, Together We Belong from J. Clark Richardson and the Connection crew from Colonel J.E. Farewell PS. The Student Senate social media presence is continuing to grow as we work closely with our head of media and communications coordinator to create on-trend, relatable content that our student audience will appreciate. This content typically includes promotional reels that spread the news of Student Senate among our ambitious and driven student body of student leaders across the board. We are also actively keeping up with posting standing committee, regular board, and ad hoc meeting highlights on our shared student trustee Instagram account, which is at DDSB Student Trustees.
During the organizational meeting on November 17th, we were delighted to support the process by assisting staff with ballot count and the introduction of the new Students Trustee Mentor role. This experience provided us with a meaningful insight into the board's democratic process and reinforced our commitment to transparent, accountable student representation. We are grateful for the opportunity to contribute to such an important component of the board's governance. We greatly appreciate the establishment of the Student Trustee Mentor position. We believe this role will strengthen our base, offer dedicated guidance, and create an additional supportive avenue for student trustees as we navigate our responsibilities. We look forward to working with Trustee Shailene Pinello, who is acclaimed for the Student Trustee Mentor role, and are excited to build a strong, prosperous, and student-oriented partnership over the coming year. Additionally, we had the opportunity to connect with Possibility Seeds as part of our professional development at AECO. Their session, which focused on strengthening consent education and fostering safer school communities, offered valuable insight into the nuances of student well-being. We left with a deeper understanding of how meaningful policy can empower students and create more supportive learning environments. We're excited to see how this work continues to develop and look forward to integrating these learnings into our advocacy over the coming year.
Thank you. Are there any questions from trustees? Seeing none, thank you. Moving on to the OPSPA update and turn it over to Trustee Edwards. What's you? Okay, sorry, Trustee Miller.
Thank you, Chair. The OPSA public report is the House Queens Park and Rise will not return to session until March 23rd, 2026. The legislative changes the Minister of Education is proposing with respect to the role of trustee will not be known until then. We have a public education symposium, and it will be held in Toronto on January 23rd and 24th. The theme this year is What Matters Most, Supporting Students. Some sessions will include keynote speakers, Catherine McKenna, former federal cabinet minister and global climate leader, Ombudsman Paul Dubé, and school boards, the 10 years of collaboration for fairness and good governance. Regional Chief Abraham Benedict, sharing education priorities of First Nations, education in Ontario and beyond. Workshops will also focus on best practices in special education, truth and reconciliation, and student well-being. This year's PES offers an essential opportunity to engage with the issues shaping local democracy and the future of public education. That is all for the OPSA report.
Are there any questions from trustees? Seeing none, we will move on to the Ignite Durham Learning Foundation update, and I'll turn it over to Trustee Arsenault.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to begin with a brief governance update. The Ignite Durham Learning Foundation held an annual meeting on November 27th, where we were pleased to conduct an election of our officers and welcome new and returning members to the Board of Directors. We were happy to introduce Steve Conaby as our new board chair, with Jay Chan now serving as the vice chair. Also returning, I am also pleased to be returning in my role as secretary, and we are grateful to have Michael Barrett join us once again as past chair, continuing to lead the leadership and experience. A new member, we are welcoming Allison Hector Alexander as a new board member. We are thrilled to have her joining the foundation. Sadly, with the loss of David Wright, his role is now filled by Lisa Bianca, his successor, and wonderful new addition to us. Lisa is also elected by the board to serve as the treasurer of the foundation, strengthening an important connection between the DDSB and the IDLF. Where IDLF is incredibly thankful for the commitment from all of the leaders and groups that provide our board and look over the foundation. One of the most powerful stories of the season with the DDSB is how our students show up, how the students and their families show up. Across the district, schools organize food drives, clothing drives, hats and scarves drives, toiletry drives. They've also done the Toonie Tuesday drive. All this helping families through Ignite campaigns, also strengthening our families within the board. Time and time again, our schools continue to step forward to ensure that the DDSB students and families are supported. At this point, there is a video to play. There we go.
Santa Claus is something that's been going on at Dumbarton for over 30 years now, and it typically is the whole month of December as a whole school fundraiser, raising money and donations for any cause that's in need, and we choose what is best served for that year.
For like us students, the Santa Claus movement is really just a lot of fun events happening at school, but it also is a very good way of helping families in a very fun way for all the students. And to us, it means a lot just to know that we're helping so many families and so many students get the support for their education and for also their lifestyle.
This year, because recently we've been noticing that even more close to home, we have students in our building and in our feeder schools who just need some extra support. And so we decided that we wanted to support IDLF because that cause is something that serves our students directly and families.
A bunch of items that were raised. There was food, but like a bunch of canned food, pastas, but there's also a bunch of hygiene products that were raised for women and men as well. The student body, I think, really appreciated and understood what the Ignite Foundation was all about, and I think that it was really helpful, and it was nice to see everyone come together and raise the money.
Some of the fun things that our clubs and councils ran, we had Pay to Park, we had cookie decorating, we had a spicy ramen challenge, we had cocos and caroling, we had coloring, there's movie days, samosas and chai, all sorts of things. Each group of students kind of picked something that spoke to them and that they wanted to do for the students.
Over the holidays, 529 individuals received direct supports from the IDLF in the form of holiday gifts that were all wrapped and delivered by IDLF team and volunteers. In addition to the leadership and throughout the holiday break, IDLF provided 3,600 in grocery gift cards, over 23,000 worth of food through the food hampers, and more than 150 winter coats, pairs of boots for children in our and youth in our schools. These supports help ease financial stresses, ensures families had food on their tables, and made the holiday season a little warmer and more joyful for our DDSB students, families. IDLF is also deeply committed to ensuring that students are supported academically, socially, and emotionally and physically. Looking ahead, we are excited to continue working with our schools to deliver Tim Hortons in-class leadership and wellness program, the swimming lessons for grade 5 to 6 students at Mary Street Community School, supporting water and safety confidence. We are also proud to be partnering with Curtis Carmichael, who brings powerful live experience through growing up in poverty through a Trillium-funded initiative. This partnership will deliver free in-school programs, helping students build resilience, confidence, and connection through authentic storytelling, AI, and mentorships. And not last but not least, we've also had support with experimental learning that were donated. The items such as musical instruments, automotive parts, tools, electronics, sporting equipment such as weights, yoga mats, balls, pickleball sets, baseballs, utility balls, many more items for sports, creative arts, medias, supplies, classroom enhancements like shelving, organizing materials, even faucet sets, all supporting the concept of the classroom as a third teacher. In closing, by extending a sincere thank you to the DDSB Standing Committee, our Board of Trustees, school leaders, educators, social workers, and many partners who make this work possible. Your continued support ensures that students and families across Durham are not not navigating these hard times and challenges alone. That's all I have for you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Trustee Arsenault? Seeing none, we'll move on to memos. The first memo is at page 17, and it's the 2024-2025 EQAO results. Any questions from trustees or comments? Trustee Morton?
Thank you, and through you. We all recognize that our math scores require much attention. In grade 3, we're all happy with the reading, writing can improve, and math can improve. Looking at grade 6, I was extremely disappointed to see that less than half of our grade 6 students are achieving at the provincial level. That's very concerning, and we all recognize that much work needs to be done there. I would love to see our math scores in the same range as our grade 10 literacy. So 86% grade 10 literacy, that's amazing. Let's work on our math and hopefully we'll bring that up. Thank you.
Okay, and the next memo is the follow-up on enrollment in schools offering single-track French immersion, next steps, and it's at page 24, page 25. Trustee Morton?
You're going to get tired hearing my voice. I am just asking that the Uxbridge community would be well informed of the steps that we are taking. And I've had this discussion with our superintendent. I ask that our schools, those parents, understand where we're going with it. Please and thank you.
And that brings us to the end of, oh, sorry, Trustee Edwards, didn't see your little hand. It's a tiny hand on my screen. I have to tell you, it's very tiny. Go ahead.
I can't help with the size of the hand on the screen. Just to follow up and as far as the next steps, because we did have a presentation from a couple of the an Ajax school, and I'm just wondering if there, again, I know it's a little early because we're not looking at boundary consultations until 2026, but just wondering if that community is going to be updated as well, that will be happening so that they know that their concerns have been heard and will be addressed.
Thank you for your question.
Oh, it still says David Wright. I think we have to fix that. I know, on here, I'm just looking at what I see on here, but I just want to say, go ahead.
You can call me Dave. Anyway, thank you for your question, and through you, Madam Chair. Certainly we can work with our communications team and through the family school superintendent to bring some of the information to the community so that they know what we are working on. Currently, staff are doing the background work, and as we stated in the memo, it's just a little more complex in Ajax with the significant emerging growth, but we are working on it, and we do have intentions to bring something in the fall, so we can certainly work with those schools communities to make them aware of what the direction we are going.
Seeing no further questions on that, that does bring us to the end of the agenda. Before I adjourn, just a quick reminder to trustees, there's a special board meeting that will take place after a short break. But I'm looking for a mover and a seconder to adjourn this meeting. Trustee Brown and Trustee Jacula. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome. I will now call the special board meeting of January the 5th, 2026 to order. The Durham District School Board acknowledges that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships, both historic and modern, with the territories upon which our school board and schools are located. Today, this area is home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. We acknowledge that the Durham region forms a part of the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Islands First Nations, the Mississauga peoples, and the treaty territory of the Chippewa of Georgina Island First Nation. It is on these ancestral and treaty lands that we teach, learn, and live. Are there any declarations of interest? Seeing none, there are no declarations of interest at this time. Can I please have a mover and seconder to approve the agenda as distributed? Trustee Jackula, Trustee Linton. Thank you. All in favour? The agenda is approved as distributed. This evening, we'll move to recommended actions. We're on item 5. This evening at the closed session meeting, a motion to authorise the absence of Trustee Cowie from today's meeting was approved. Are there any trustees willing to move and second the recommendation that the Board of Trustees adopt the January 5th, 2026 resolution of the Committee of the Whole regarding the authorizations of Trustee Chad Cowie, Trustee Emma Cunningham, and Trustee Shailene Pinello's absence from the January 5th meeting? Thank you, Vice Chair Oldfield. And sorry, the seconder, Trustee Miller, thank you. Are there any questions or discussions regarding the motion? Seeing no further requests to speak, we will vote on the motion. All those in favour? Any opposed? Thank you. That motion is carried. We will now move to item 5B, Treasurer of the Board, and I will hand it over to Councillor Carter.
Thank you, Chair Bound, and through you. The report can be found at page 1 of the agenda package. The director has hired Lisa Bianca as the senior business officer at the board and serving as associate director. However, there is a formal step that is required under the Education Act, under Section 170 of the Education Act. The board is called upon to appoint the treasurer. Typically in most boards, that is the associate director of corporate services, and that has been the practice with this board as well. David was appointed as the treasurer. So we are recommending that that Lisa Bianca be appointed as the treasurer to ensure that the board is compliant with that formal designation under Section 170 of the Education Act. And the Section 198 of the Education Act confirms that someone in Lisa's position as the senior business official can be appointed as the treasurer. So subject to any questions you may have, that is our recommendation.
Thank you. Are there any trustees willing to move and second the recommendation included in this report? Trustee Morton?
Thank you. Through you, I would like to put forward the motion that the Board of Trustees approve the appointment of Lisa Bianca, Associate Director of Corporate Services, as Treasurer of the Board, effective as of December the 12th, 2025.
Thank you, Trustee Morton. Do we have a seconder? Trustee Thatcher, are you seconding? Okay. Thank you. Is there any discussion or debate of the motion is now open? I would like to offer the first speaking opportunity to Trustee Morton as the mover of the motion.
I don't need to speak to this motion, but I will say that I have a lot of confidence in our new Associate Director, Bianca.
Thank you. Trustee Thatcher, would you still like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Chair. I certainly do agree with the Trustee Morton's sentiments there, and I believe as a board that many of us have worked with Lisa Bianca for many years and are so pleased to see her grow into this role. Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you. Seeing no further requests to speak, are we ready to vote on the motion before us? All those in favour? Any opposed? Thank you. That motion is carried. We will now move to agenda item 5C, the 2026 meeting schedule. As mentioned by General Counsel Cotter, there are multiple recommendations included in this report. But before I say all that, maybe I should hand it over to Counsel Cotter to tell us a little bit more about the report.
Thank you, Chair Brown. Happy to summarize. So, as trustees will recall, the bylaws were amended to provide that any meetings that are included in the annually approved schedule of meetings would fall within the definition of mandatory meetings. So, and the decision that's before the board tonight is what to do with the annual schedule of meetings vis-a-vis the closed session meetings that occur at 6 o'clock prior to board and prior to standing committee meetings. Because the change to the bylaw was made after the annually approved schedule, we felt it was appropriate to bring the annual schedule to the board for consideration so that everything can be lined up in accordance with the new wording of the bylaw. On page 6 of the report, we've provided 3 options in the chart there and included the implications for each option. So the first option would be to maintain the schedule as is, and just for your reference, the schedule is at page 9 of the package. So the current schedule includes all the 6 o'clock meetings before board and standing. So if without any change to the schedule, if that's the schedule that gets approved, all the 6 o'clock meetings would be considered mandatory meetings under our bylaws. Option number 2 would be to amend the schedule to remove all the 6 o'clock meetings, and then we would call those meetings as and when necessary. So the meetings could still occur and could still be called, but they wouldn't, unless they're in the annually approved schedule, then they would not fall within the definition of mandatory meetings. That's option number 2. Option number 3 would be to amend the schedule to remove some of the meetings. And one of the things that was flagged last time as a possibility would be, for example, to remove them before standing committee meetings, so that at least that way there would be one closed session meeting per month in front of the board meeting that would be mandatory. The other one, if it was held, would not be mandatory, and, you know, as I say, may not be held depending on the level of business needed to be done in closed session. So those are the three options for your consideration. As I say, it doesn't really impact whether those meetings will be held or not. It just, the way our bylaw is worded is trustees cannot be held to a mandatory attendance unless the meetings are in the annually approved schedule so that they have proper notice, etc. So subject to any questions you may have, that is our report, and the three options there are laid out on page 6 of the agenda package. Thank you, Chair Brown.
Thank you, Councillor Cotter. As mentioned by General Counsel Cotter, there are multiple recommendations included in this report. Is there a trustee willing to move and second one of the recommended actions included in this report? Trustee Edwards.
Before I make a recommendation, I want some clarification on option 1. Is that I understand of the other two options, it says it presents the opportunity to use the RB4 to use, for professional development. Under option 1, if we didn't have the use of a in-camera basic committee of the whole standing committee meeting, that meeting could still be canceled and replaced with a PD. Is that not correct? It just requires some, basically official notice as far as canceling that meeting. But in all three options, the PD replacement isn't mandatory. So I just want that a little bit of clarification there.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Brown. So canceling a meeting from the annual schedule is not as easy as it might seem. It can be canceled if it becomes apparent that there's a lack of quorum. That's an option that's available. Otherwise, if it's on the regular schedule, really there should be a motion by the board to cancel the meeting that's on the annually approved schedule. I mean, if there are no agenda items, I suppose it could be done, but really there should be an amendment to the schedule to remove a meeting, which could be done, but you'd have to do it sometime in advance.
And sorry, through you, Chair, just a clarification. The second part was, could the PD be part of that agenda and be then still mandatory? Just asking.
So the PD, I think the comment related to PD was just to make use of the time that may be available in that time slot. The PD, of course, is not mandatory within the language of the mandatory meetings. PD is subject to its own, the board's own, requirements and expectations around in-person attendance at PD. But it's certainly a different requirement than the mandatory meeting requirements. But I think the reason why it was included was just to make note that that was one use that could be made of the time slots if they were opened up at the 6 o'clock.
Thank you, Councillor Cotter. I will now ask Vice Chair Oldfield.
Yeah, I would like to move a motion to remove meetings, the meetings specifically prior to to remove the committee of the whole meetings that occur prior to the standing committee meeting. So option 3, but specifically, instead of just a general remove some meetings, I'm moving that we remove the committee of the whole meetings prior to standing.
So just for clarity, if I may, Chair Brown, Trustee Oldfield, if we look at page 9, I think just to clarify the motion, it would be each of the meetings listed at 6 a.m. 6 p.m. as an in-camera session beside a standing committee meeting. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, yes. So
Yeah,
there'd still
perfect.
be, so there would still be in-camera meetings prior to board. And potentially, we could schedule, sorry, I'm going beyond the yes or no, but potentially we could schedule it if there's a need to have one prior to standing.
Yes, and through you, Chair Brown, removing a meeting from the annually approved schedule does not prevent the agenda setting committee, the chair and the director from scheduling a 6 o'clock meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Cotter. Do we have a seconder for this motion? Trustee Jacula? Trustee Thatcher, do you have a question pertaining to the motion, or would you like to second the motion?
I would like to second the motion. I think that option 3 for me makes the most sense of the 3, and it doesn't forbid us from having in-camera meetings, as I understand it, prior to standing, should that be required. So I'm seconding the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or debate of the motion is now open? I would like to offer the first speaking opportunity to Vice Chair Oldfield as the mover of this motion.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. In addition to what Trustee Thatcher said, and Council Cotter, we have the ability to schedule the meetings if we need to. And for those that don't know, we do have agenda setting meetings that take place. And so we have some sense, how much or what might be coming up, and whether or not we need to set a separate meeting for an in-camera session prior to standing. Whether that's because of the volume or whether because it's a question of timing. There might be some items that might need to come to a meeting because of timing, but it does still provide us with that opportunity to do that.
Trustee Miller?
Point of clarification. I wanted to know if the meetings are canceled, do we need to have a board approval for a newly scheduled meeting? How would that work?
Councillor Cotter?
Thank you, and through you, Chair Brown. So no, the agenda setting committee which effectively is the chair and the director, can call meetings as needed. So removing them, would still allow the flexibility for the agenda setting committee to schedule any needed meetings.
Through you, Chair, just additionally, trustees will note that beside option 3 on the chart, that is outlined there, implications of the decision is that additional committee of the whole meetings called on an as-needed basis are not considered to be regularly scheduled and therefore not subject to the mandatory meeting requirements. So important to highlight to trustees that while there is the purview to call those meetings on an as-needed basis, because they're not regularly scheduled, they're not subject to the mandatory requirements.
Trustee Thatcher?
Thank you, Chair. I think it's important to note that as we now, something started last term of office, that we now have public meetings, and I believe the requirement is for us to be as transparent as possible. That's certainly a consideration in reducing the number of in-camera meetings to those that are really just required. I just have a question, a clarifying question though, Chair, for General Counsel. I believe it's section 169.1 of the Education Act that outlines the criteria for items that are included on the in-camera agenda. I just wondered, is there anything in the Education Act that speaks to the number of or any additional requirements around in-camera meetings.
Councillor Cotter?
Thank you for the question. Through you, Chair Brown. No, I mean a closed session meeting is effectively the only requirement is, well, there's two requirements. It has to be a committee meeting. It can't be a board meeting. The only board meetings that are allowed to be in closed session are code of conduct meetings, which given the new amendments will no longer apply anyway. So it's really just has to be a committee meeting, can't be a board meeting, and has to fit one of the criteria set out in section 207 sub 2 A through E. And as long as it meets those requirements, then there can be a committee meeting in closed session.
Thank you. Trustee Edwards?
Thank you. The one concern I have about this option is that although it can be called by the chair at a separate meeting, quorum is, because it is a committee of the whole, quorum is still considered to be 7 out of the 9, and if we don't achieve that, and at those meetings, basically, as I mentioned, one of the reasons why I had brought this up previously was that under the Education Act, we have a fiducial responsibility, which also includes a legal responsibility, basically to address those legal and financial matters. And my concern is that that ensuring that those matters are being brought forward to the board in a timely manner where we can address those concerns, and that's one of our primary responsibilities under the Education Act. I would say that I understand as far as doing some of that, but usually when it comes to some legal and financial matters, they come sometimes in different times, and if we don't have a regularly scheduled meeting set up, then we might not get quorum. So I do have a bit of a concern. I think it's, out of the options, I do have a bit of concern around option 3. I think it's doable, but I just raised some concerns about that, is that we have a fiduciary responsibility and limiting that and not necessarily making quorum to some meetings where when a decision has to be made is a bit of an issue.
Councillor Cotter?
Thank you, Chair Brown, and through you. So just picking up on Trustee Edwards' comments, I think one thing to note is that if a meeting is not on the list as a regularly scheduled meeting and therefore is not a mandatory meeting, what it really does is free up the ability of trustees to attend electronically without falling within the specific categories that would allow the chair to provide that permission. So, it may actually improve attendance in some respects because people can attend electronically regardless of whether they formally fit within the allowable sections for electronic attendance of mandatory meetings. Just something to consider.
Thank you, Councillor Cotter. Are there any further requests or questions? Are we ready to vote on the motion before us? All those in favour? Can you please use your green check mark? Or your check mark, sorry. Thank you. Any opposed? Thank you. That motion is carried. Seeing no further business, can I please have a mover and seconder to adjourn this meeting? Thank you, Vice Chair Oldfield. Thank you, Trustee Jackula. All in favour? Thank you. This meeting is now adjourned.